stared at my phone. The group chat was exploding. My daughter's voice echoed in my head from 20 minutes ago. Dad, just don't come to Christmas this year, okay? You'll make everyone uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. That's what I'd become to my own family. The man who raised them, who built everything they took for granted, was now an embarrassment. My name is Thomas Brennan. I'm 63 years old, and this is the story of how I lost everything, then discovered I never needed them in the first place. Let me back up. 6 months earlier, I was someone different. I was the founder and CTO of North Peak Solutions, a cybersecurity firm I'd spent 27 years building from my garage in Edmonton. My wife, Catherine, had been my partner in every sense. She handled operations while I handled the tech. Together, we'd grown the company to 200 employees and $40 million in annual revenue. But Catherine got sick. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4 by the time they found it. The doctors gave her 6 months. She lasted 4. During those final weeks, she kept telling me the same thing. Thomas, don't give the company to Marcus. Please. I know he's our son, but he's not ready. He's too easily influenced. Wait until he matures. Marcus was our oldest, 38 years old, sharp as a tack when it came to sales. But Catherine saw something I didn't. She saw how his wife, Veronica, whispered in his ear, how he'd changed since marrying her 5 years ago, more status conscious, more concerned with appearances than substance. I should have listened. The day after Catherine's funeral, I sat in my home office, surrounded by sympathy cards I couldn't bring myself to read. My daughter, Sophie, was there. She was 35, worked in marketing for a tech firm in Vancouver. We'd always been close. Dad, she said gently, what are you going to do about the company? I rubbed my face. I hadn't slept in days. Your mother wanted me to wait. She didn't think Marcus was ready. Sophie bit her lip. Mom was usually right about people. But he's my son, I said. It's supposed to go to him. That's how this works, isn't it? I build something. I pass it to my children. Maybe, Sophie said carefully. But Mom knew Marcus. She knew how Veronica influences him. I waved her off. I was drowning in grief, and I wanted to believe in my son. I wanted to think Catherine's worries were just the fear of a dying woman trying to protect what we'd built. 3 weeks later, I made it official. I transferred 60% ownership of North Peak Solutions to Marcus, kept 30% for myself, and put 10% in a trust for Sophie. I stepped down as CEO, moved to chairman of the board, and let Marcus take the reins. He seemed grateful. He hugged me at the announcement. I won't let you down, Dad. I promise. Veronica stood beside him, smiling. She was beautiful, polished, always perfectly put together. A former corporate lawyer who'd given up her practice when Marcus started making real money. We're going to take North Peak to the next level, Thomas. You'll be so proud. For the first few months, everything seemed fine. Marcus made some changes, brought in new executives, rebranded the marketing. I trusted him. He was my son. Then came the board meeting in November. I walked into our conference room to find Marcus sitting at the head of the table, my seat, with Veronica beside him. That should have been my first clue. Board meetings were for board members and executives. Veronica was neither. Dad, Marcus said, not quite meeting my eyes. We need to talk about your role going forward. I sat down slowly. My role? One of the new executives, a man named Derek Phillips, whom I'd never met before Marcus hired him, slid a folder across the table. Mr. Brennan, we've been reviewing the company's direction. The board feels that to attract the kind of venture capital we need for our next phase of growth, we need to present a younger, more dynamic leadership profile. I looked at Marcus. What is he talking about? Marcus cleared his throat. Dad, you've done an incredible job building North Peak, but the investors we're talking to, they want to see fresh faces. They want innovation. He trailed off. They want me gone. I finished. Veronica leaned forward. Thomas, no one's saying gone. We're saying transitioned. You'd retain your shares, of course, but we'd like you to step back from the day-to-day operations. No more board meetings. No more strategic input. We'll send you quarterly reports. I felt something cold settle in my chest. You're removing me from my own company. It's not your company anymore, Dad, Marcus said quietly. You gave me controlling interest. This is a business decision. A business decision. I repeated the words like they were in a foreign language. Derek jumped in. We're prepared to offer you a generous consulting contract. $200,000 a year for 5 years. Plus your shares, of course. You'll still profit from the company's success. I looked around the table. The board members I'd worked with for years wouldn't meet my eyes. They'd already been convinced. This wasn't a discussion. It was an execution. Marcus, I said, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. Your mother warned me about this. His jaw tightened. Mom wasn't thinking clearly at the end. She was sick. She was dying. Not stupid, I snapped. She knew exactly what she was talking about. Veronica's smile didn't waver. Thomas, I think you're being emotional. This is what's best for North Peak. For everyone. I stood up. I built this company from nothing. I wrote the code that made our first product. I hired every person here. And you're telling me I'm too old, too out of touch, to have a say in its future? Dad, please don't make this harder than it needs to be, Marcus said. I looked at my son, really looked at him, and saw a stranger. Someone who'd let his wife convince him to betray his own father. Someone who valued venture capital over family. Fine, I said. Send me your paperwork. I'll sign whatever you want. But don't expect me to celebrate your success. And don't call me when it all falls apart. I walked out of that boardroom and didn't look back. The next few months were a blur. I signed their papers. I took their consulting contract. I moved out of the executive office in the building I'd bought 15 years ago and into a small condo downtown. Sophie called me every week. Dad, are you okay? Marcus won't talk to me about what happened. I'm fine, I lied. Just figuring out retirement. But I wasn't fine. I was adrift. For 27 years, my identity had been tied to North Peak. I was the founder, the innovator, the leader. Now, I was just Thomas Brennan, retired, forgotten, 63 years old with nothing to do. I tried to stay busy. I volunteered at a community tech center, teaching coding to kids. I went for long walks along the North Saskatchewan River. I read books I'd never had time for. But at night, alone in my condo, I thought about Catherine, about how right she'd been, about how I'd failed her last request. Then came Thanksgiving. Sophie called me 2 weeks before. Dad, about Thanksgiving, Marcus and Veronica are hosting at their place. Okay, I said. What time should I be there? There was a long pause. Dad, Veronica said. She said it might be better if you didn't come this year. I felt like I'd been punched. What? She said having you there would make Marcus uncomfortable. They're having some potential investors over, and she thinks it would be awkward to explain why you're not involved with the company anymore. Sophie, it's Thanksgiving. It's family. I know, Dad. I told her that. But Marcus backed her up. He said maybe it's too soon, that everyone needs some space. I sat down heavily on my couch. So I'm uninvited from Thanksgiving. I'm so sorry, Sophie whispered. I told them it was wrong. But Marcus said it's his house, his choice. And you? Are you going? Another pause. Dad, I have to. Emma's expecting to see her cousins. Emma was Sophie's daughter, my granddaughter. 12 years old, whip smart, the one bright spot in my life lately. Of course, I said. You should go. Tell Emma I love her. After we hung up, I sat in the dark for hours. I thought about calling Marcus, demanding to know how he could do this. But I knew it wouldn't matter. He'd made his choice. Veronica had made it for him. I spent Thanksgiving alone. I ordered Chinese food and watched old movies. My phone stayed silent except for one text from Emma. Miss you, Grandpa. Mom says you're busy, but I know that's not true. Love you. I cried for the first time since Catherine's funeral. December brought more of the same. The tech center where I volunteered had budget cuts and didn't need me anymore. My consulting contract with North Peak was a joke. They never called, never asked my opinion. I was collecting a paycheck for doing nothing, and it felt like hush money. Then came the Christmas incident. Sophie called me on December 20th. Dad, I need to talk to you about Christmas. I already knew. Let me guess. Veronica's hosting again. Her parents are coming from Toronto. She's invited some business partners. And she said, I'm not invited. She said you'd make everyone uncomfortable. Sophie finished miserably. Marcus agreed. He said maybe next year, when things have settled down. Next year, I repeated. When I'm even less relevant. Dad, I fought them on this. I told Marcus he was being cruel. But he said it's Veronica's house too, and if she's not comfortable, it's fine, Sophie. I said. Though it wasn't. You go. Be with Emma. She needs her mother. Will you be okay? I'll survive, I said. I always do. After we hung up, I poured myself a scotch, then another. I thought about Catherine, about what she'd say if she could see this. She'd be furious at Marcus, disappointed in me for not fighting harder. But what was there to fight? My son had made his choice. My daughter was caught in the middle, and I was the inconvenient relic they wanted to forget. Christmas Eve arrived. I sat in my condo, watching the snow fall over Edmonton, and tried not to think about what my family was doing without me. Opening presents, laughing, Emma asking where Grandpa was and getting some weak excuse. At 11:45 p.m., I gave up on sleep and made coffee. I stood at my window, watching the city lights, and wondered if this was it, if this was how I'd spend the rest of my life. Alone, forgotten. Then, at exactly 12:01 a.m., my phone rang. It was Sophie, and she was crying. "Dad," she gasped. "What did you do?" My blood went cold. "What are you talking about?" "It's on the news. CBC is reporting it. TechCrunch just posted." "Dad, what the hell did you do?" I grabbed my laptop and opened TechCrunch. The headline made my heart stop. Silicon Valley giant Aerotech acquires stealth startup Quantum Shield for $1.2 billion. Founder Thomas Brennan emerges as tech's latest overnight billionaire. I stared at the screen. This couldn't be real, but it was. There was my photo. A picture from the acquisition signing I'd done 3 weeks ago under strict NDA. The article detailed everything. How I'd spent the past 8 months building Quantum Shield in secret. How I'd developed a revolutionary AI-driven threat detection system that made traditional cybersecurity look prehistoric. How Aerotech had been in a bidding war with 3 other firms to acquire it. How I'd sold it for $1.2 billion in cash. "Dad," Sophie said, her voice shaking. "Marcus is losing his mind. He's screaming at Veronica. People at the Christmas party keep checking their phones. Everyone's seeing the news. Dad, you're trending on Twitter." I sat down slowly. "Sophie, I can explain. You built another company? While we thought you were just, retired?" "I couldn't just do nothing," I said. "After they pushed me out of North Peak, I was angry, hurt. So I started coding again, just to keep busy. I came up with something new, something better than anything I'd done at North Peak. I knew it was good, so I incorporated, brought in a small team, kept it quiet. I wasn't trying to—" "Dad, you're a billionaire." I looked at the number on the screen. After taxes and paying out my small team, I'd clear somewhere around $800 million personally. "I guess I am," I said quietly. "Marcus just threw Veronica out of the house," Sophie said. "He's saying she convinced him to push you out, that this is her fault. Dad, it's chaos here." "Where's Emma?" I asked immediately. "With me. We're in the guest room. She's asking what's going on." "Put her on," I said. There was rustling, then Emma's voice. "Grandpa?" "Hey, sweetheart," I said, my voice softening. "Merry Christmas." "Grandpa, Mom's phone keeps buzzing. She said you did something amazing. Did you?" I smiled despite everything. "I built something new, Emma. Something I'm proud of." "Are you really a billionaire now?" "That's what the internet says." "The internet's right about that part," I admitted. "That's so cool," Emma said. "Does this mean you can come to Christmas now?" "I miss you." My throat tightened. "I miss you too, sweetheart. More than you know." Sophie got back on the phone. "Dad, Marcus wants to talk to you." "I'm sure he does. Are you going to answer when he calls?" I thought about it. About Catherine. About the past 8 months of loneliness and grief. About being uninvited from Thanksgiving and Christmas because I made people uncomfortable. "No," I said. "Not tonight. Tonight, I'm going to finish my coffee and maybe take a walk. It's a beautiful night. Dad, I'm so sorry. For not standing up more. For going along with their excuses. Sophie, you have a daughter to think about. I understand. I never blamed you. I love you," she whispered. "I love you too, sweetheart. Give Emma a hug for me." After we hung up, I did exactly what I said. I finished my coffee, put on my coat, and walked through the snowy streets of Edmonton at 12:30 on Christmas morning. The city was quiet, peaceful, and for the first time in months, I felt something other than grief and anger. I felt free. Over the next few days, my phone exploded. Calls from Marcus that I didn't answer. Emails from Veronica apologizing, saying there had been misunderstandings. Messages from former colleagues at North Peak congratulating me. Interview requests from Bloomberg, Forbes, The Wall Street Journal. I ignored most of it. I talked to my lawyers, finalized the acquisition details, and made plans for what came next. Emma called me on December 27th. "Grandpa, can I come see you?" "Of course, sweetheart. When?" "Now?" Mom said she'd drive me. An hour later, Sophie and Emma were in my condo. Emma hugged me tight, and I held my granddaughter, realizing how much I'd missed these simple moments. "Grandpa," Emma said, settling on my couch, "I need to tell you something." I sat beside her. "What is it?" She pulled out her phone and opened a note. I heard Aunt Veronica talking to Uncle Marcus at Thanksgiving. I was in the kitchen getting pie, and they were in the dining room. They didn't know I was there. Sophie leaned forward. "Emma, what did you hear?" Aunt Veronica said, "Once we get through this awkward transition period, your father won't matter anymore. We'll have full control, and we can take North Peak public without his interference. The investors don't want some old man questioning our decisions." My jaw clenched. Emma continued. "And Uncle Marcus said, he'll be fine. He's got his consulting money. He'll spend his retirement fishing, or whatever old people do." Sophie looked sick. "Emma, why didn't you tell me this before?" "Because I didn't know what to do," Emma said, tears in her eyes. "I love Uncle Marcus, but Grandpa was so sad, and nobody seemed to care." I pulled Emma close. "Sweetheart, you did nothing wrong. Thank you for telling me." "Are you going to do something?" she asked. I thought about it. About Catherine's warning. About the company I'd built being twisted into something unrecognizable. About my son choosing status and money over family. "Actually," I said slowly, "I think I already did. I just didn't realize it at the time." Sophie frowned. "What do you mean?" "When I sold Quantum Shield to Aerotech, part of the deal included technology licensing agreements. Some of my new AI threat detection work was built on research I'd started at North Peak, years ago, before I transferred ownership to Marcus. I'd kept the intellectual property rights to my personal research in my exit agreement. Their lawyers never thought it would matter." "And?" Sophie pressed. "And North Peak's entire security infrastructure is about to become obsolete. Quantum Shield's technology will make their products look like antique alarm systems. Their investors, the ones Marcus and Veronica were so worried about impressing, are going to wonder why they're backing outdated technology." Sophie's eyes widened. "Dad, that could destroy the company." "No," I said, "but it will make them vulnerable, irrelevant. Unless what? Unless they license Quantum Shield's technology from Aerotech, which means they'll be paying me, indirectly, to stay competitive." Emma grinned. "Grandpa, that's genius." I ruffled her hair. "That's business, sweetheart." My phone buzzed. It was Marcus, calling for probably the 100th time. "This time," I answered. "Dad," Marcus said immediately, "we need to talk." "Hello, Marcus," I said calmly. "How was your Christmas?" There was a long pause. "You know how it was. The news ruined everything. Veronica's parents left early. Half our guests spent the evening on their phones reading about your acquisition." "Sounds uncomfortable," I said. "Kind of like how I felt spending Thanksgiving and Christmas alone." "Dad, I'm sorry. I know we handled things badly. You uninvited me from family holidays because your wife thought I'd embarrass you in front of potential investors," I said, my voice hard. "That's not handling things badly. That's betrayal." "I know," Marcus said quietly. "I know, and I'm sorry. Veronica convinced me that it was best for business, for the company, but I should have stood up to her. I should have listened to Mom." "Yes," I said. "You should have. Can we meet? Can we talk about this? I want to fix things." I looked at Sophie and Emma, both watching me. "I don't know if you can fix this, Marcus. You didn't just push me out of a company. You pushed me out of your life. Both of you did." "We were wrong," Marcus said, and I heard something break in his voice. "Dad, I was wrong. I let Veronica get in my head. I let ambition blind me to what mattered. Mom tried to warn me, and I didn't listen. Then I did the same thing to you." "What changed?" I asked. "Why call me now? Is it because I'm suddenly worth something again?" "No," Marcus said firmly. "Well, maybe that woke me up. Seeing your success, seeing what you accomplished while I was busy playing CEO, it made me realize what an idiot I've been. But it's more than that. Dad, Veronica and I are done. I kicked her out Christmas night, filed for divorce yesterday. That surprised me. Because of this? Because Emma told me what she overheard at Thanksgiving. Because I finally saw who Veronica really is. Someone who convinced me to betray my own father for venture capital that hasn't even materialized yet. Someone who valued appearances over family. I was quiet for a moment. What do you want from me, Marcus? A chance, he said. A chance to make this right. I can't undo what I did. I can't give you back those months. But I want to try. I want my father back. I thought about Catherine. About what she'd want. She'd warned me about Marcus. Yes. But she'd also loved him. She wouldn't want this permanent rift. We can meet, I said finally. But it's going to take time, Marcus. You hurt me. Deeply. I understand, Marcus said. Thank you, Dad. Thank you for giving me a chance. After we hung up, Sophie hugged me. Are you okay? I don't know, I admitted. But I think I will be. Emma looked up at me. Grandpa, what are you going to do with all that money? I smiled. Well, sweetheart, I've been thinking about that. How would you feel about a foundation? Something that helps kids learn technology, especially kids who can't afford it. Like the community center where you used to volunteer? Exactly like that. Maybe we could call it the Catherine Brennan Technology Education Foundation. Emma's face lit up. Grandma would love that. Yeah, I said softly. She would. The next few months were strange. Marcus and I met for coffee weekly. The first few meetings were awkward, painful. We talked about North Peak, about Veronica, about the mistakes he'd made. I told him about Quantum Shield, about those lonely months when I'd poured my grief and anger into code. Slowly, carefully, we started rebuilding something. Not what we'd had before. That was gone. But something new, something honest. North Peak struggled. Exactly as I'd predicted. Within 3 months, 2 of their major clients switched to companies using Quantum Shield licensed technology. Their investors started asking hard questions. Marcus called me in March. Dad, we need your help. With what? North Peak is hemorrhaging clients. Our technology can't compete with Quantum Shield. We need to license it from Aerotech, but they're asking for terms we can't afford. I leaned back in my chair. This was the moment I'd been waiting for, if I was honest with myself. The moment to choose revenge or reconciliation. What do you want from me? I asked. Come back, Marcus said. Not as chairman, not in some honorary position. Come back as a partner. Help me rebuild North Peak the right way. We'll license Quantum Shield technology, integrate it, and become the company Mom always wanted us to be. And what about control? What about your 60%? I'll sell you back 20% at cost. We'll be equal partners. 50-50. Voting on all major decisions together. I thought about it. About Catherine. About the company we'd built together. I'll think about it, I said. That night, I sat in my condo and looked at Catherine's photo on my desk. What do you think? I asked her picture. Should I go back? Of course. She didn't answer. But I knew what she'd say. She'd tell me that family mattered more than pride. That forgiveness was harder than revenge, but more worthwhile. That Marcus had made mistakes, but he was trying to fix them. I called him the next morning. I'll come back. But we do this my way. No more Veronicas whispering in your ear. No more pushing people out for appearances. We build something real, something ethical. Or I walk. Deal, Marcus said immediately. Thank you, Dad. By summer, North Peak was stabilizing. We'd licensed Quantum Shield technology, brought in new talent, and refocused on what we did best, protecting people's data. Marcus was learning to listen, to value expertise over ego. We'd never be as close as we were before, but we were family again. Sophie threw a barbecue in July to celebrate North Peak's turnaround. It was the first time in over a year that Marcus and I had been at a family event together. Emma ran between us, excited to have her grandfather and uncle in the same place. As I watched Marcus flip burgers and joke with Sophie's husband, I thought about those dark months, the loneliness, the betrayal, the anger, but I also thought about what came after. Quantum Shield, the foundation I'd started in Catherine's name that had already helped 300 kids learn to code. The second chance with my son. Grandpa, Emma said, sliding next to me on the patio bench. Are you happy now? I looked at my granddaughter, wise beyond her years, and smiled. Yeah, sweetheart, I think I am. Good, she said, leaning against me. Because you deserve it. You're the smartest, kindest person I know. Even when Uncle Marcus was being dumb, you didn't stop being you." I hugged her close. "You know what, Emma? You might be the smartest person I know. Don't tell your mother." She giggled. Marcus walked over, holding a plate of food. "Dad, burger?" I took the plate. "Thanks." He sat on my other side. We were quiet for a moment, watching Sophie and her family. "I was thinking," Marcus said carefully, "about expanding North Peak into educational software, using some of the Quantum Shield tech to create better learning tools for kids. Partner with your foundation." I looked at him. "That's a good idea. I learned from the best," he said quietly. "Both of you. I just forgot for a while." "The important thing is you remembered," I said. That night, after everyone left and I was back in my condo, now a larger place, overlooking the river that I'd bought with my Aerotech money, I poured a scotch and stood at the window. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. "Today was the best day. Love you, Grandpa." I smiled and texted back, "Love you too, sweetheart. Sweet dreams." Then I raised my glass to the window, to the city lights, to the life I'd rebuilt from the ashes of betrayal. "We did it, Catherine," I whispered. "Not the way we planned, but we did it." And for the first time since she died, I felt her presence, not in grief or loss, but in the foundation that bore her name, in the second chance with our son, in the wisdom she'd left me even when I'd been too stubborn to hear it. I wasn't the man I'd been a year ago. That man had been broken, betrayed, lost. I was someone new now, someone who'd learned that success wasn't just about money or companies, or proving people wrong. It was about holding on to yourself when everything fell apart. It was about building something meaningful from the rubble. It was about choosing forgiveness without forgetting the lessons. My name is Thomas Brennan. I'm 63 years old. I'm a father, a grandfather, a billionaire, and a survivor. And this is my story. Not the story of how I lost everything. The story of how I found what actually mattered.